Chapter 18. Detective Mom. The good news that she'd genuinely been hoping for was that Janelle was alive. The police somehow got a recent recording of her that proved not only was she alive but she wasn't too distressed, at least she didn't sound that way. It was odd. How would she have gotten anything like that out? Who kept her in a basement hidden away from the world, but fed her and gave her a phone? What kind of kidnappers let you stay at Club Fed? This is supposed to prove what? Are you accusing my daughter of something? Sherry said to Sachs. Does this recording make your daughter sound guilty to you, Ms. Coleman? He said with a smirk. No. The recording says that you still have time to find her and instead you chose to intimidate school children. Don't insult my tax dollars with this charade you call police work. I don't need insults, Ms. Coleman, just answers. Moblam added but was waved off by Sachs. Charity felt small in a room full of adults arguing over her guilt and innocence. All she knew was that Tony was nearby. She could almost feel him and hear his heartbeat through all of it. It soothed her. She wished she could run out of that room and just hide away with him. He was her happy place. He was the only part of all of this that gave her hope. As her mom and the detectives continued to argue, she remembered that he wasn't even aware that the place they could freely be together in was tainted with suspects of Janelle's disappearance. But, as far as Charity knew, no one discovered that the hotel held more than just secrets about Janelle. Alright, I will speak to the other Ms. Coleman now if that's okay with you. Step carefully. She is not under arrest, and we can walk out of here at any moment. Sherry gave Sachs a cold hard look. Ms. Coleman, would you like some water? Sachs said, trying to seem kind. No, she would not. What we would both like, however, is for you to ask pertinent questions. Charity made 2 mental notes at that moment. The first one was to find out why police officers offer people water all the time, and the second was to tell everyone what a badass her mom was. She'd never seen her in action like that before. Very well then. Ms. Coleman, can you tell me what your relationship with Ms. Wilson was like before she went missing? Charity looked at her mom and received no objection, so she went along with it. Yeah, we were best friends before. We used to hang out all the time. So you two were close. Anything happen between the two of you? Any arguments? I mean, all teen girls get into little tiffs with their friends every once in a while, right? No, we weren't fighting. And I guess we weren't as close right before the disappearance, but we were still cool. Oh, so then you weren't the best of friends? I'm confused now, which is it? Charity felt cornered. She didn't want to get caught in a lie because she knew how bad that would like, but she didn't want the detective to twist every little word either. Her mom lightly tapped her foot twice. They never set up cues like this before, but somehow she still knew that meant she needed to stay on top of her game and clearly answer only what was asked of her. We were friends. It was just that school made it harder to really be around each other as much because our schedules didn't overlap the same. We began hanging out with people we saw more, but we would chat in the hallways and were still fine with one another. Thank you for clarifying. Charity sat back and tried to hold back a huge smile because she felt like she'd just won. She knew that she was killing this interrogation and it was her first and hopefully only one ever. So then why was it that after she went missing you were heard by several witnesses stating that you were tired of everyone being worried about her and how you were not friends with her, so you didn't care? Well, that question kicked the smile off her face and laid her right on her ass. It wasn't like that. Moblam wanted in on the fun and threw himself in the race too. Chapter 19. Bleach. Miko had heard about Charity being pulled from class by police. She couldn't believe any of the rumors she was hearing about what happened after, and of course, the only reliable gossip source she could trust was the one being gossiped about. She signed up for a beautification project at school and decided to put her bleach, trash bags, and gardening tools in her car so it would all be ready for the next morning. As she neared her front door, she thought she'd heard faint sounds of her next-door neighbors. She wasn't sure and decided to wait a few moments to see if she could either be sure of what it was or wait it out. The item she was carrying became full, and she decided it would be best to rush to her car and get back inside. She hated knowing Bronte was being abused, but she was pretty sure Bronte didn't want any help when it came to this. She wasn't ready for that yet, and Miko understood and tried to respect it. Miko tried to be silent as she feared making too much noise would somehow bring the very negative attention from next door onto her. She heard the husband scream, "It's your fault," and, "Just fucking stop." Miko dropped her gallon of bleach. She went weak at how Bronte must have been feeling guilty over probably having done nothing wrong at all. Things next door went silent and Miko hurried to her car, barely holding onto everything she was carrying. Bronte walked out and began to get into her car. Miko thought she was going to pee on herself because she just knew the husband was going to step outside next. Bronte saw Miko and stood next to her car door and cried. "Please, please understand I didn't mean to hurt him." In Miko's mind, it all came together in a million little pieces but quickly all at once. "I got bleach and trash bags." She held her bleach up. "We can finish this now after what he's done to you." Chapter 20. Accusations. News cameras and Wilkerson High students lined up outside of the police station as news had quickly circulated that Janelle was found wandering the streets in the wee hours of the morning. As she walked out of the station between her joyfully tearful parents, she briefly spoke to one reporter. "I'm so grateful to be back. I don't remember much of what happened or where I was until this morning. But I'm home now, and I just want to get myself together, and hopefully, soon enough things will be back to normal. But thank you to everyone who helped look for me." Her mother, Michelle, and her brother, Travis held onto her tightly and cried with joy that she was safe and sound back home. Officer Sachs went to Joey's house for roundup questioning and quickly found that he'd been missing as well since Janelle was found. He wasn't sure if it was a missing person or a suspect on the run. After Janelle and her family went home, Charity spoke with Ayana about the man she saw her with and how it looked like the guy in the video with Janelle. Ayana was mortified at the thought of that. "I met him on Bumble, you bumbling idiot. I can't believe you suspected me. I saw that video too. If it were him, trust me, I'd recognize him, and I'd say something. What is wrong with you? What kind of friend were you to me when you thought this? You couldn't even say anything to me?" Charity wasn't sure if she was being played or losing a good friend. "I'm sorry, okay? I was questioned by the police and never once thought to bring you up. So it's not like I betrayed you. I just wondered." Ayana let out a deep aggravated sigh. "You know, sometimes I wished we could just be together. We would be the cutest couple, but now I remember why. I remember why it never worked out with us. You are such a disloyal bitch." Any words Charity could have mustered up were being choked down by what Ayana was saying to her. "And you know what, Char, the worst part of it is that I'm still in love with you because stupidly some part of me still believes that you actually believe all of your own bullshit." "It's not bullshit." Charity wanted to cry. She wasn't sure why, but this just felt like being hit by a truck after a four-wheeler just missed you. "And how come you never came out and said how you felt? Don't change the subject. You were with Tony this whole time, so what would it have mattered?" "What?" Charity couldn't believe she knew. "You're not the only one who knows someone else's secrets, babe. I'm just better at actually keeping them. But I kept yours. I wasn't even sure what it was." "Ayana, why are you acting like this?" "Yeah, and you should have kept it and come to me." "What is this crap? Saying it after the fact when she's back? How fake were you being when you thought I was with a guy who made that tape with her? Maybe it wasn't just Joey. Maybe you were the one in on it too."